Myanmar's military regime says more than 2,700 people are now confirmed dead after last Friday's earthquake. The country has held a nationwide minute of silence to honor the victims. There are fears that the death toll could rise further as rescue efforts expand to more isolated regions. Thailand was also hit by the quake as emergency workers continue to focus there on a collapsed building in the country's capital.
Search operations are ongoing at the site of the collapsed high-rise building in Bangkok, where over 70 people were believed to be trapped under the ruins after the quake hit. Families have been staying nearby for days, desperately waiting for news.
We have to stay strong. We can't afford to be weak, because we have to wait for our child. We can't break down. We can't get sick.
So far, no survivors have been pulled from the site. With hopes fading of anyone being found alive, teams were given the green light to dig deeper with heavier equipment to recover bodies.
I want everyone trapped there to be found, in whatever condition. I've already made some peace with it. It's been a few days already. A part of me still hopes they will survive, for a miracle.
In neighboring Myanmar's second largest city of Mandalay, close to the epicenter, local Chinese and Russian rescue teams are still searching for survivors. The death toll keeps rising, but responders say they won't give up hope of freeing more survivors trapped in debris.
They are waiting, and we can't give up on a single sign of life.
The quake is the strongest recorded in Myanmar's history, which already faces a humanitarian crisis caused by its bloody civil war. Many people are afraid of returning to their homes due to possible aftershocks. And arriving aid groups say there's an urgent need for shelter, food, and water for survivors.
Let's get the latest now from DW correspondent Tommy Walker. He's in Bangkok. Tommy, I understand you were just at a news conference with Bangkok's city governor. What did he have to say about the search and rescue operations there?
Yes, he had a press conference not long ago, and he said that the operation is in a new phase. It's in its second phase now, where this heavy machinery and cranes behind us are going to be picking and peeling away the biggest pieces of debris to try and find any remaining survivors. Now, according to the police board behind me, now 14 people have been confirmed deceased because of this crash caused by that earthquake on Friday that hit Myanmar. That's 8 male and 5 female. And the Bangkok city governor did say that today they found 12 bodies that haven't survived. And now the task is to try and recover them bodies. But it's a difficult situation. You've got unstable wreckage. You've got, a mound that is incredibly deep. And, rescuers are really just trying to find the best way to recover bodies, but also search for survivors at the same time. So the operation is ongoing, and authorities are working around the clock.
Yeah, it's just looking at that picture where you are, it's hard to believe that was a high-rise building over 30 stories under construction there. There are reports, Tommy, suggesting that Thai authorities knew about irregularities in the construction of that Bangkok high-rise. What can you tell us about that?
Well, an industry minister visited the site a few days ago and did check some of the steel that was used for this building, and did mention there was some irregularities with it. Now, the Anti-Corruption Association of Thailand did a short or quick initial investigation and found that this project was behind deadline. It was supposed to be completed in 2026 next year, but it was only 30% complete. So, and apparently there was supposed to be fewer workers than needed to complete this building, and there might have been corners that might have been cut to try and meet deadlines. So there's a lot of initial investigations going on at the moment. Prime Minister Patong Tan Shinawatra has said that she wants an update within a week to find out what's happening here.
Tommy, thank you very much. That was our correspondent, Tommy Walker, in Bangkok.
Thank you.
Also in Bangkok is Elaine Pearson. She's the Asia Director for Human Rights Watch and is monitoring the situation in neighboring Myanmar, which is where the epicenter of that earthquake was. Elaine, thanks for being with us. Now, Myanmar's military junta asked for international help, and apparently external aid is trickling in, but Myanmar is in the middle of a civil war. Is the junta there allowing assistance to reach all affected areas and not just the ones they control?
Well, I mean, the simple answer is we just don't know whether aid is getting to everyone that it should. We do know that in some of the military-controlled areas, the urban areas, there have been search and rescue teams allowed in, and they are doing their best. But, you know, this quake has been absolutely devastating for the people of Myanmar. We know that thousands of people have been killed and injured, and much of the damage is happening in contested areas. We're very concerned that airstrikes have continued by the military even after the earthquake. The priority really needs to be on saving lives, not killing people. And, you know, there's a real lack of access to these areas because of internet shutdowns, a lack of electricity, a lack of clean water. So the situation really is quite dire.
What can the international community do to help ensure that humanitarian aid, which it's providing, reaches all those in Myanmar who need it?
Well, I mean, I think that the international community does need to step up humanitarian assistance to the people of Myanmar. I mean, even prior to this, the UN had reported in some of these areas, like Mandalay region, 2 million people in need of humanitarian assistance. 2.7 million people in need of humanitarian assistance in Sagaing region. So the needs are immense. We need that support to be funneled not through the junta, but through local organisations and civil society as far as possible. I think one thing also to remember is that the healthcare system in Myanmar has been in crisis since the coup. And that is because a lot of the doctors and nurses and medical staff have been part of the civil disobedience movement. And so there's a really urgent need to provide more support in these areas. And as I say, to ensure that that is going to the people of Myanmar and to ensure that aid isn't misappropriated by the junta. In the past, when we've seen like Cyclone Nargis or Cyclone Mocha, other natural disasters in Myanmar's history, we have seen restrictions on aid, delays, and also aid being misappropriated by the junta. So it's really important that aid gets to the people who need it, no matter where they are in the country.
Right. Now, you mentioned the crisis underway already in Myanmar. I'm just wondering if you can tell us how the earthquake might affect the security situation there in the country in the middle of this civil war. What kind of conditions are people facing there now?
Well, I mean, yeah, people are lacking electricity. There's a lack of clean water. Food supplies are running out. In many of these places, there were pre-existing curfews because of the conflict that's ongoing of 10 p.m. And in a crisis like this, every minute counts. And so, you know, this is no time to have curfews. People, you know, don't have equipment. There's a lack of equipment. So people have been like digging, trying to sort of dig people out with their bare hands. We also know that in Sagaing city, for instance, they've run out of body bags. And so, you know, very sadly in that city, the smell of decaying corpses is in the air. So, you know, as I say, the situation was already very desperate. There's a lack of access. Foreign journalists have not been allowed into Myanmar. It's really important that that is lifted and also that there's more independent monitoring to make sure that the aid is going to the people who need it most.
Elaine, thanks for talking with us today. That was Elaine Pearson, Asia Director for Human Rights Watch in Bangkok.
Thank you.
Let's cross over to Myanmar now, where we can speak with Mikhael de Souza. He's a project coordinator at Doctors Without Borders and is based in Yangon. Thanks for being with us. Mikhael, what's the situation like now in Myanmar after the quake? What are the primary health concerns?
Well, as you mentioned, the worst situation that we have seen is Mandalay, knowing that we haven't been able to access all the other parts. It took us about more than 15, 16 hours to reach Mandalay by car from Yangon. We have a very small team right now assessing the situation. And tomorrow there will be 2 bigger teams joining. We also have emergency hospitals and full teams waiting at the border and waiting for the authorization to come in. What we have seen, and as you've rightly said, there's a huge need, mostly for electricity and water. Water not only for the survivors right now, but water to make sure that there's no epidemics developing. So we've been able to distribute today water tanks to the general hospital to avoid that they will not be able to treat patients well, because we have already seen in other hospitals that doctors are not able to follow all the protocols to make sure that when they treat a patient, they really are able to avoid any further contamination.
What kind of support, you've already mentioned that you're providing water, what kind of other support are aid organizations like yours able to provide to the affected communities in Myanmar?
So as you mentioned, Chinese and actually Indian government teams are able to come in soon after the earthquake to help with the rescue and search operations. To my knowledge, no other international NGO is yet able to work. So we are really both discussing with the governments and with all other parties to make sure that we have access. At this point in time, we've seen a huge, and as you see right now in the pictures, a huge solidarity amongst local people. Religious communities have played a huge role in solidarity, and as you see now, they distribute drinking water, which is immensely necessary for people. You also have shown in a picture a lot of IDPs, so people are afraid to go back in the structure of the house. Some houses have been totally destroyed, some not yet, but there's a real risk that they will fall down in the future, and people prefer not to, or are not able to, or prefer not to go back to their homes.
IDPs, of course, internally displaced persons, so a lot of people have been displaced. What challenges are you and your colleagues facing in trying to deliver aid and medical services to the affected areas there?
Well, the first biggest challenge, I would assume, is logistical. As I mentioned, we've been able to reach Mandalay. We haven't been able to go further up north for the sake, I believe that you know that the bridge is broken. And so the epicenter of the earthquake was actually further north, just across the river. We haven't been able to access it there. The good thing is that we see that there's a lot of solidarity, but there's definitely not enough heavy tools to help go through the debris of the houses and to look for survivors, or maybe now, because it's already past 72 hours, look for the bodies of people who've been trapped under the houses.
Mikhael de Souza with Doctors Without Borders there in Yangon, Myanmar. Thank you very much for talking with us today.
Thanks to you.